always warm up my vocal cords before a book talk. I am a homebody and I typically do not have extended conversations at a projected supported level for an hour to an hour and a half straight. Good morning, it's Janelle Maloney. I'm headed out to a book talk this morning, and I just wanted to answer a few questions about what it's like to be an author and to give book talks and do stuff like that. And I figured I have a really long drive because I'm headed out to one of the easternmost cities in the Phoenix Valley. So I've got time. What else do I do? I usually plan to leave early, and I usually leave late. I don't know. I try not to forget anything, but I usually forget one thing. Every time. So I try not to do that. Let's see. Oh, I always bring my notes, no matter how many times I've given that talk. I don't know, I give so many talks and I have so many facts in my head, plus the new work that I'm doing on a new book, and I think I can't remember it all. I just can't. So it feels good to have a backup, especially when I'm looking at dates or I need to quote material. I feel a strong sense of pride. I want to make sure I get those right. So I like having that content available. Also, I've had situations where the PowerPoint was skipping ahead of me in the during the book talk, and I'm not sure what was going on. I don't know if there was like a static interference with my remote. I don't know. So having my notes, I have a little picture of what slides should be on the screen. So when it was jumping ahead, the kind of person I am, I would just, if I didn't have my notes, I would go with it. I would go with whatever was on that slide. And then I would probably realize later, oh, there is something really important that needed to be established before we got to that part. And so it's helpful for me to know where I'm at and to be able to pause, recognize that we shouldn't be on that slide, and to address what got missed or what's going on. So that way I do not derail my own book talk or historical presentation, which I have done in the past. I have done that. I have, there was this one time, do I sell books at every single book talk I do? No. Part of that goes with the agreement that I have with whoever it is that I'm talking to. There are private functions that I do. Like today I'm going to a private function. You don't know where it is and you can't come, and they are paying for me to be there, and part of the agreement is that I am not to solicit the client or the customer at all. The money that's coming to me has already been paid. So yes, I do bring books to those situations. They're on display. Sometimes I bring a book to donate to that organization, and it just comes out of the payment that they give me out of respect. Sometimes community organizations like libraries are the same way. You cannot do retail sales on the property, and so there are situations like that, and so that's where that speaker fee kind of not quite makes up the difference, but it stabilizes my job and my job income. Best thing that's ever happened at a book talk or speaking event was in Sedona, Arizona, and the room at this building was jam-packed, so much so they were adding rows of chairs at the end of the setup, and then there were people standing in the back of the room, and it was amazing. That was so cool. Yeah, actually, you know what? A close second to the standing room only was in Douglas, Wyoming. One of the best experiences I had was speaking for the Wyoming Pioneer Association, and I was introduced by one of the Wyoming Cowboy Hall of Famers and ranchers in the area with a pioneer family and Larry Kundle. And that was a huge honor to me that he would set the stage for that really important discussion. So that was kind of really cool. Yeah, appreciated that. Yeah. Okay, worst thing that's ever happened at a book talk. Okay, I have 2 examples. I don't know. One time, I was wearing one of my absolute favorite dresses. I want to say I had just turned around to check like the cord on the computer or something, and someone noticed that there was a hole in the back of my dress. What are we talking about? What kind of hole? And so I said, oh, that okay. And I like reached behind me thinking it was, because they said it was on the seam, like at the bottom of the zipper or something, which is the lower back region. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. They were like, oh, no, it's lower. Turns out I had a hole at the back of my dress, just like they said, but it was like 3 inches, and it was smack dab like, and when I think back to that of when the audience noticed was when I bent over. That was pretty bad. But we dealt with it, and I left it off, and at that point you can't really do anything about it but address it and just move on. You move on. I had another one. I think it was the first time I had given a certain talk on a certain topic, and I had my notes and I had my computer, and the notes were on the computer. And then they said, Janelle, we can't get the projector, the Zoom, all the things to work out the way it is with the computer by you. We have to actually put it on at the desk in the back of the room in order for all of these things to work out. And so there goes my computer with the notes, right? But I thought I brought a copy, smart cookie, right? And then I'm like, okay, we're good. I've practiced, and of course I know all this stuff, but nerves. And then someone says, because the lights are on, they can't see the presentation very well on the screen. So they decide to turn the lights off at the front of the room. So now I can't see my notes. Some things did run away from me in that book talk, constantly battling with what I should have said while that slide was up. Did I say it all? Did I quote it right? Was I close enough? Did I get that date right? Like, that was living in the back of my brain and having a conversation while I was trying to be a professional and telling the stories. So ultimately, it was a fantastic presentation, and it was very natural and everyone loved it. But were my facts spot on that day? No, they were approximates, because this guy kept talking to me. So I always bring my notes. Okay, so there's another one of bad things that happened at book talks. Generally, my audience are older. That's just what happens. Family history, state history, local history, Civil War history, Wild West history. Y'all are older than me. So sometimes during a talk, people will fall asleep, and that is something that doesn't bother me at all. By the way, my dad fell asleep during one of my talks. I was like, Dad, really? But this one particular time, I was filming, and I was filming because I needed to submit the entire presentation to a school, because they are very strict and they want to know exactly what's being said. They want to see every single image. They want to know before they approve allowing you to come and speak to the students, which is totally fine. So I did tell everyone, look, I am recording. The camera's pointed only at me, and I had the camera sitting sort of at the end of a row. And then the person on the end of the row fell asleep, and they started snoring like lawnmower. That reminds me, there was another. Oh, okay. I was giving a talk recently about ostriches and ostrich ranching in Arizona, and one of the very first things I do is I kind of warn the audience about my humor. I do a lot of kind of like silly dad jokes in that talk, a lot, because who would ever take ostriches and ostrich ranching seriously, like, ever? So I don't. So the first thing I do is I let them know that I am going to tell a few ostrich related jokes, and then we'll just see if any of them fly. And the crowd laughs because they get it. They're sharp. They're like, yeah. I want to say a minute later, some dude in the back is like, hey, ostriches don't fly. And then the audience laughs again. It was spectacular. I did like that moment. Yeah. If you're an author and you give book talks, what are some of your highlights? What are some of the good moments and bad moments that you've had? I'd love to hear it. Oh gosh, book signings though. Maybe a different video. Well, thank you for joining me. I'm headed out to my book talk.